Yeah, like I said, I am using Herald of the Tomb, Dawn's Wrath, and Assassination. These are Templar, Nightblade, and Arcanist lines. Give you quick skills real quick. Inspired Scholarship from the Herald of the Tomb is on your back bar. This is going to give you Brutality and Sorcery, and when you have it active, it's going to add extra damage to all of your class abilities. Any class ability is from any of these three lines. And then Solar Barrage is from the Dawn's Wrath line. That's the morph of Solar Flare. If you don't know, at the top it does show which morph it comes from as well. This one's going to do a damage over time ability, and it's going to increase your damage done with class abilities by 5% for 22 seconds. Stampede is one that is specific to a weapon. This one goes with the Great Sword from the Maelstrom Arena. You can swap this skill to Destruction Staff, Elemental Blockade if you want to use a Fire Staff instead. I've heard of people using Endless Hail from the bow line and using a bow instead. I'm personally using the Maelstrom Arena, and so you'd use Stampede with that. And I'll show you the Maelstrom Arena Greatsword as well. I use Fulminating Rune because it's a class ability. It gives synergies and it gives a lot of damage. This is from Herald of the Tomb as well. And it is being buffed by your Inspired Scholarship and your Solar Barrage. So this is just a nice little damage. I personally have Camouflage Hunter on my back bar, not because of anything that the skill itself gives, but because when you go down to Fighters Guild, you've got passives here for Slayer, where you increase your weapon and spell damage. Sorry, Isaac, I'll come bother you in a minute. And then also with the fighter's ability slotted, you get 3 ultimate when you can add an enemy. That's nice. So I have a fighter's guild on front bar and back bar. This one does actual damage, which is why it's on my front bar, because this is my damage bar. The only other thing I have on my back bar is my Languid Eye. This is the one that I procced the most. I am aiming to drop this as often as possible. You do have to place it, which is kind of a butt, but that's fine otherwise. Soul Harvest I have on my front bar. Incap is arguably better damage, but while slotted on either bar, you gain ultimate, and I'm trying to drop my Languid Eye as much as possible. So I slot Soul Harvest in most content. Not all of it, but most. Like I said, Barb Trap, this is your Nightblade skill. Soul Harvest is a Nightblade skill. Merciless Resolve is a Nightblade skill. I'm using these for the passive that comes from the Nightblade line, and then also this is the one that gives you your Major Prophecy and Savagery. Also, it is a light attack proc, so the more you light weave, the more you can get stacks in order to actually use this skill, and that can get over 100k damage pretty easily. This is your flail and your beam, also called your tentacles and beam, but flail, fate carver. These are the ones that these are the buttons you're gonna be clicking probably the most. The flail heals you, the beam shields you, so you've got a little bit of extra protection using these two skills. And then the rotation basically looks like Inspired Scholarship, Solar Barrage, Stampede, drop your rune, drop your Barb Trap when you feel like it, flail, flail, beam, flail, flail, beam, reapply your 3 buffs, these 3 on your back bar, flail, flail, beam, and then this last skill is the one that you use actually at 25 and under. I know it says 33, but trust me, 25 and under, it's going to deal a lot of damage. The lower health it gets, the more damage it gets, and it's got to heal for you at the same time. So you've got some good damage on this bar and a couple good heals. Shields and heals. Like I said, this is my preferred setup. This is not what everybody's doing. There's a couple people doing it. I just like it most. So Highland Sentinel daggers, Nern in the front hand with flame or poison. I don't actually know which is which, but that's okay. Nern for sure is main hand, charged is backhand, 1 in poison, 1 in flame. They're going to do a lot of damage. If you're not comfortable light attacking or being up close, it's perfectly acceptable to do a lightning staff in a lot of situations where you're doing where it's got precise and flame damage on it, and then you can stay back a little bit more and get your light attacks in. It's more damage to do the daggers, but I mean, arguably, there's other times that the lightning staff's going to work more, but daggers are preferred. That's the meta. I'll go with that. So like I said, the Perfected Greatsword is what I prefer because I feel like it does more damage in pretty much every situation, but this one increases your damage done with direct damage attacks by 9% up to a maximum of 12. You don't have to have it perfected. Obviously, that's better, but Your beam is direct damage, so you are buffing your beam using this. Alternatively, the Inferno Staff is perfectly acceptable as well, in which you just use the Elemental Blockade. And then we've got the Narayanith monster set. You deal direct damage. You can summon a Lynch. It does a lot of damage. I know it's only 50% chance, but you're dealing a lot of direct damage, so it's good. Ansel's is the kind of go-to set that I use if I don't know what I'm walking into or I don't have my other sets. This is just it's from Sanity's Edge. It's just a good 7% increase to damage. Flat. You interrupt something on the off chance you're doing 7% more, that's awesome, but it's a flat. That's Sanity's Edge. Caspian's I use on ad pulls. This is from OC. It's a little harder to use, and OC is a little bit more difficult of a trial. I wouldn't get this one until you're more comfortable doing stuff. Null is my boss set. I use what it does is when you deal critical damage, it will shoot. Once it's stacked up, it shoots a stack of that silver off and hits something for a good amount of damage. But it hits one thing. So if you're fighting one boss, awesome. If you're fighting a bunch of ads, you'll hit an ad, maybe not the thing that you want. So it's not perfect in every situation, which is why I always advise people to go for Ansels first and then situationally start getting the other sets. And like I said, that's Sanity's Edge. It's an easy one to farm if you don't have it. Put that on your body pieces. Velothi is kind of the thing that makes or breaks this set. You can still get up to 80k without it. I helped another person do that just this weekend, which was nice and fun. But Velothi, easily a 25% increase to your damage, 15% against monsters, and gives you minor force. Your Barb Trap is going to give you minor force if you don't have the Velothi necklace, so you're not missing that 10%, but Barb Trap is not usable in every situation because you do have to be up close and personal with that one as well. And then, like I said, Highland Sentinel, and then these are weapon and spell damage, enchants with stam recovery, and everything is in Bloodthirsty. So those three are all the same. We've got Divines and Stamina on all of the body pieces. I run the Mundus the Thief, so my critical chance is buffed. And then the only other thing I think is for gear is your back bar weapon. You're not just proccing the Merciless Charge set, you're also proccing what they call the Berserker enchant, which is the increased weapon and spell damage, and you want that trait and infused to make sure that that procs. That is nice and easy, good damage. I accidentally ran a trial where I didn't have this on, and it was like a 15, almost 20k difference in my damage on a boss, which is just a brutal amount of damage. And then the only other thing that's kind of important is your champion tree. Wrathful Strike's obvious weapon and spell damage, nice and easy. Your beam is an AoE, so we use Biting Aura, and then your beam is also direct damage, so we use Master at Arms. Most of your skills are direct damage, so nice and badass there. And then I think if you're dropping Wall, that's an AoE too, I believe. I'm pretty sure. And then Exploiter, you would use if someone is providing off balance in a lot of Day's End runs. Hit or miss? Hit or miss. You can swap that to Fighting Finesse. It just helps it get you to crit cap a little bit better, since I know we're not quite hitting crit cap in that group either. Oh, and hopefully I mentioned everything, all of the armor is in medium, and my game just crashed. And all of your attributes are in stam. Hopefully that didn't crash everything too hard.